Good day, everybody. Let's get this thing started here. Straight into map number 1. I'm Todd, and with me will be Carson. How are you doing, buddy?
I am excellent, man. I'm so happy to be here. This is gonna be a lot of fun, man. This is gonna be so much fun.
A player's forces.
Yeah, apparently for Infi in particular, he randomed human in map number 1.
This is a little bit ridiculous, and on Northern Isles nonetheless too. This is definitely a map where maybe Infi could even go for some sort of a fast expansion. Luckily for Lin, he went for Farseer blind.
Yeah, I guess as the Orc, the Death touched on it. It's just the more solid option. Like, we don't see nearly as much blade as we see a Farseer, I feel, nowadays. It's very matchup dependent. But yeah, Infi, not too long ago, he had to face Fly in the semifinals of WGL. He picked Random, and Fly later on talked about how difficult it can be to play against Random in that regard. Actually, back then, Infi randomed Undead on the other isle, and Fly had opened Blade Master, but he was still unable to defeat Infi's Undead at the time. But Infi against Orc, I find him excellent. He usually, for a very long time, played with a lot of double Sanctum build orders, but now he's facing Headhunters here in Lin, who, I mean, it's the current flavor in Warcraft 3, isn't it? Like, it's this brand new meta that has been taking the Warcraft 3 world by storm.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting style, and I think it is the most consistent style against Random. Of course, you mentioned that the Farseer is a very consistent style, but going for Farseer Headhunters, it of course works if you're up against a Crypt Lord fast expansion. Very strong against that. As you pointed out, Infi is also very strong with the Crypt Lord, and it's not too bad against Human, not too bad in Orc Mirror, and, you know, against Night Elf you're going to be a little bit boned, but it's not the end of the world, and we see just how much pressure Lin is already able to put on this Archmage and these Footmen.
Yeah, a while back when I saw Infi play against this type of build order, it was on Echo Isle and he was getting defense after making like 5 Footmen. And then later on going double Sanctum, expanding pretty quickly after his Mountain King was out, power leveling the Mountain King to level 3. So I'm curious here whether he's going to do the same. He's very familiar with the other side of that matchup as well. I faced him 2 days ago on ladder, and he was Orc, and he played that Headhunter build order very well into tier 3. As opposed to some of the other Orcs that do this build, he actually didn't go into a third hero back then. He was just Farseer TC and then Spirit Walkers into Torrents, with of course the initial Headhunters that he makes. So I'm really curious on how he thinks is the best way to counter this now as the human.
Yeah, he's already got that early defend you pointed out, and I do think that is the right way to do it. You get, 5 Footmen, then you get your defend, and you go into that early tier 2 with the double Sanctum, and then expansion like you pointed out as well, especially when you're up against generally a tier 3 Orc army with just a tier 2 human army with double Sanctum. You kind of need that double base economy to get that amount of units up against those Torrents, potentially the Berserkers in the future. But yeah, I don't know if we're going to see Tri-Hero from Lin. He'll probably, as you point out, go into some sort of a Spirit Walker with maybe a Torn Chieftain. We've seen Shadowhunter second a little bit with this style, but it's got to be a Torn Chieftain. You need Stomp here.
Yeah, usually it almost always is. It feels like it's something very special if you were to see any other hero than a Torn Chieftain second. That's the big power spike of the Headhunters here, is when you have, 6 to 7 plus, and then you can just go from camp to camp and just grab the item. So he's got a Book of the Dead here in the center. Curious to see whether he's going to sell that or use it before there are priests joining the field, because once they are, then obviously that can be dispelled easily, unless you're Death Note.
Yeah, he's got about another minute before the Dispel comes out, so maybe he can use it into the main base or something like that. He could definitely do some damage with it, although, as you point out, it's a lot of gold to sell it as well. And yeah, the Headhunters are going to go back and just creep a little bit on their own. The Farseer is poking and prodding and looking for that human army, but Lin not quite finding Infi just yet. He will see him now. But yeah, the tier 2's coming out. The Torn Chieftain is out. The Mountain King is about to pop as well, and we did see that double Sanctum, so the Dispel will be kicking in pretty soon, so that Book of the Dead's not going to be useful for too much longer.
Yeah, Infi set up a sentry ward on the left-hand side at the Tusker camp, so now he has a big opportunity to maybe go there in a second and then try and bother this army that's creeping this. He's gonna have to make the decision quickly. He's trying to grab the consumable from the small Murloc camp, just a little bit below where the Farseer is right now. Wallet Mana stealing, grabbed by the Torn Chieftain. Infi's playing aggressive when his Mountain King comes out. I didn't expect this. I fully expected him to just go for the expansion creeping, just power level to level 3, but he wants to fight. Looks like actually he might be reconsidering.
Yeah, and I suppose maybe Infi doesn't want to allow Lin to get this Goblin Merchant, and that's why he's going for it right away. And I feel like maybe when you invest in to defend this early, you kind of feel like you have to get some value out of it, which he is in just creeping this, and he's got a little bit of map presence now with it. If he didn't have defend against this many headhunters, he'd really just get bullied off the middle camps. But yeah, getting this and getting the Sobi mask as well for that Mountain King is going to be huge in the future. And right now, Lin's giving him a lot of space, but the Torn Chieftain's getting close to level 3.
He went Water Elementals level 2, which against Headhunters you see a lot of, regardless of whether there is Shamans. Usually against standard meta, if you know there is Shamans, you'd almost always go for Brilliance level 2 instead.
Right.
But yeah, he's getting a whole bunch of Priests. Lumber Mill now on the way as well for Infi. He's finally getting the shop. You're going to want to grab some mana potions if you plan on fighting quite a bit. Archmage needs to react. He does have Boot of Speed, and he saw that there was already the first Purge used, so he should be safe for now. Meanwhile, the Mountain King is focused on getting that level 3. Wait, Lin is expanding?
That is an early expansion. Yeah, it's like a single Shaman expansion. Although he realized that he bullied the Archmage off, he realized the Mountain King was going to be creeping, and Infi's been doing a great job actually of creeping that Mountain King up, so he might be able to hit a timing on this expansion. But yeah, not normally what you see with Farseer Headhunters. You normally see that quick investment into tier 3, into Torrens, and just lots of creeping and pressure. But yeah, early expansion, a little bit of an adaptation for Lin, I feel like.
If he can purge a single Water Elemental here, that's going to be Torn Chieftain level 3 to open up the fight. He kept the Book of the Dead, so the plan might be to try and kill all of these Shamans, and he does have a lot of Headhunters to try and do that. And once he does that, maybe use the Book of the Dead. But Infi repositioning beautifully here, pulling all the way back, setting those Priests behind the army. He has 5 Priests. Okay, might be good to sell that Book of the Dead. Perhaps he's going for the Priest. Here we go. Speed Scroll. Stomp is going to land on 3 of the Priests. He's going straight for them. He really wants to kill them so that the Book of the Dead could come in handy in the fight.
What an engagement. 3 Priests going down. Traded for, I believe, 2 Headhunters. The Book of the Dead comes up in the back, and the Priest cannot get in range for the Dispel, Todd. And the 5th Priest is about to go down to the Headhunters. They're in such a nice position. They're going to get clapped and clapped all over, but trading a Headhunter for a Priest at this stage in the game when they want to get mana, I think it's totally fine, but the tables are kind of turning. A Raider falls, a couple more Headhunters are falling, but maybe Lin's done enough to secure this expansion.
Yeah, Infi maybe felt a little too safe. This is so unusual to see an Orc expand on tier 2 with his build order here. But Lin really understood the power spikes of the Headhunters, of the Shamans. Went for big timing here. Torn Chieftain getting level 3 at the very start of the fight. And now he's looking fantastic. Even though supplies are even, his expansion very close to finishing. And he's going to have a giant advantage economy-wise.
Yeah, this has been really, really nicely played from Lin. As you pointed out, the power spikes, he really does seem to understand it. And the Torn Chieftain hit level 3 as soon as his Adept for his Shamans finished. He took that fight, got the Purge, killed all the Priests, and now he's creepjacking again, and Infi's not in any shape to fight, and the expansion's up behind this. We can see the peons already moving there, so this is all gravy now. If Lin gets any kills here, this is beautiful for him.
Infi finally has clap level 2, so we're going to start seeing those claps land, but he's pretty much out of mana. Did find a one of mana stealing, but there isn't even much to steal from the opponents. Lin forced to tempo a lot, but with the expansion being up, and he was just a second ago near Infi's expansion, he knows that he's got a 1 expansion advantage. I feel like he's in a fantastic spot now in this game, but of course, Infi, when playing this composition, sometimes he can make magic happen. The Mountain King really the best thing that you can try and come back with in this game if you can land some big claps, some big stone bolts, and with some good target fire in this fight.
Absolutely, with that Sobi mask to boot as well, and the clap level 2 is going to definitely come in handy, and a Pennant of Energy as well. Jesus, that Mountain King is going to be the carry of this game, and if he's definitely going to need it, as he might get creepjacked yet again. And the downside of losing all these priests is maybe Infi would want some Sorks right now. I'm not sure if this is what you'd want, but this engagement is looking great for Lin.
Oh, and look at the transition. This is so beautiful. He has 2 Kodos now. Knowing that he's going to face a lot of breakers, he can start eating away at those immediately. One Shaman will get bolted, so that means you have to turn around and start fighting. Militia coming in. Infi called quite a bit of them. Kodos grabbed 2 of the breakers. Mountain King pretty much out of mana, and he has no Brilliance level 2. So even though he has Brilliance level 1 plus Sobi mask, that mana regen, not amazing enough here to keep on fighting consistently and have a lot of mana to continue.
Oh, the Mountain King, he has no push of invulnerability. There's no stomp, but he's got to go down to the Ensnare, and there's a Chain Lightning as well. There's no Speed Scroll for Lin, though. Can he get out without losing too much? It seems like he can get out scot-free. And this is looking like all Lin. The expansion's still mining. The Mountain King back from the tavern, but there's no mana. And the next Priest is going down. There's only, what, 2 left in the back right now.
Yeah, Infi finally has Brilliance level 2, but I think he's feeling the urgency here in this game. He's really trying to go towards that expansion. Maybe he can force a shop here to try and get some clarities, because he really needs mana on the Mountain King to keep on fighting. But Lin's pretty healthy. He's got mana to work with. He's got a speed scroll, invuln, healing scroll. And I think he might be about to secure that map number 1 here if he can hold this attack from Infi.
And the Kodos are soon to be hungry. 3 Kodos, in fact, stomp in the front of the 2 footmen, but he doesn't even need big stomps anymore. He's got all the units. The claps are huge, but as you pointed out, there's no shop. He could build one with those peasants. One raider maybe got to fall to the right, but there's just so much stuff for Lin here, and the Kodos still can eat too. Level 4 Tauren Chieftain.
Yeah, there's just so much supply now. Lin with a big supply lead. The expansion still running the whole time. Mountain King pretty much out of mana. You can have a mana pendant all you want. If you're out of mana, then there's not many claps for you to work with. He would need at least 3 big claps here to have a good chance. Tries to town portal out. Mountain King being targeted. Looks like he's gonna live, but barely 91 hit points after the town portal goes through. And now Infi, he doesn't have an expansion. Like, where does he go from here? And why did he get Magic Sentry with it? Like, what is going on here?
Yeah, a reveal for something in the future, but I mean, Infi's going to be the one that has to pressure the rest of the game, so the Magic Sentry not going to really come in handy in the heal scrolls. Beautiful from Lin to steal those as soon as he knows his opponent town portals, goes straight to the shop. If you town portal, you can't be at the shop right away. Steals those away, and even if Infi had shop control, he wouldn't have the gold or economy to get them. And he's got to go back to the expansion, but does he have enough now? He's got even less units than when he pushed initially.
Yeah, Mountain King's only like half hit points as well. Like, this is very tricky. He used the Clarity, and he still has had the Sobi Mask plus Brilliance active the whole time, so he's got some mana to work with. Nice mana potion as well. If he drops both the Circlet and the mana pendant, he's going to regain quite a bit of mana, but he has to empty the mana pool first. But there's so many units here for Lin, pushing forward inside of the army. And Infi is just going to tap out. Lin with a very solid map number 1 win using Headhunters.
Yeah, that was clean from Lin. He just understood the timings. He understood when he could fight, when he couldn't, when he had to expand. And that little adaptation with that expansion is really, really nice from Lin. And that's looking like a clean game 1, and maybe even a clean game 2 if he keeps that up.
Yeah, a little bit surprised to see Infi have such a rough start. Like, of course, he's been playing a lot of random, so maybe like his human is not as on point, but usually he looks very good in this kind of games, whereas now it was really Lin running the show and maybe catching him a little bit off guard with that tier 2 expansion. Like, I have to say, almost every time I've seen Headhunters, he was straight into tier 3, torrents, yeah, maybe shamans with bloodlust. If you're feeling crazy, probably not the best idea against breakers, to be honest. But yeah, like, that was really, really nicely done by Lin for sure.
Yeah, and against Infi's random as well. Like, that was him getting his main race with random, and Lin just saying, I'm going to go Farseer Headhunters no matter what. And going into game 2, I wouldn't be surprised to see Lin do the same opener, regardless of the race. But, if it could be Night Elf for Infi, that would be bad news bears for Lin. But still, I mean, that looks strong. And if he understands the other matchups with Farseer Headhunters as well as he does against Human, this is going to be dangerous.
Yeah, Carson, you're an Orc player and a very decent one as well. I've seen you play, I've seen you stream. If you go fast here and the opponent is random and ends up being a Night Elf, how would you try and salvage that?
There is a couple of all-ins. You can go Naga second, Tinker second. You can go Farseer Headhunters again with heavy harassment, but it's not always great. Of course, with Wisps able to detonate your wolves, with Demon Hunter potentially being able to mana burn you, it can be rough, but there are sort of all-in cheeses you can do, and you can kind of transition to a standard game, but it's always going to be rough. You could always play hit and run as well. 2 Bestiary Raiders is something you can always do against Night Elf, but yeah, it's not the greatest position if you're the Orc player against a Night Elf with Farseer.
2 Bestiary Raiders, don't encourage them. It's something you can always do no matter of the matchup. If you feel like it, like, just go for it, have some fun. But yeah, excited to see what race Infi randoms, like. Yeah. There's always going to be 4 options here, and there's not really much you can do in the way of scouting early as the Orc, it feels like, just because you need so much lumber. Yes. Whatever build order you want to go for. So even though, there is that 1 extra supply now to make an extra PN, you still cannot afford, I think, to send 1 out super early.
Yeah, you got that extra peon, but do you want to do it against every race? In particular matchups, it might be rough if you invest that lumber from that extra peon moving out and you invest that extra gold just producing that peon. It can be rough, but maybe it's necessary going into map 2.
All right, we're going to be playing on Last Refuge. And it does look like Infi has randomed Night Elf this time. So I'm glad we talked about this.
Yeah.
I fully expect a Farseer here in this game from Lin. And
He's got to do it again, doesn't he? I feel like he has to.
Yeah, most definitely. It would be crazy. I mean, to be honest, it's not the worst Blade map, right? Like, Cooper plays a lot of Blade Master against Human on this map, and he does pretty well a lot of the time, especially because as Human, you're already thinking, oh, I gotta grab the Troll Priest to help against the Farseer, which is not good against Blade Master, for example. Let's see.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. This is the most common map where we see a Blade Master against Human, even if it's not someone randoming Human. Against a main race Human player, we'll see Blade Master sometimes, because as you point out, you can pick off that Priest early, you can pressure their creeping, but we're going to see that War Mill, we're going to see that Farseer, and we're going to see how Lin transitions against Night Elf with Farseer Headhunters. We'll see if I'm right, we'll see if I'm totally wrong. And it's probably going to happen a couple times this weekend.
And you know, Infi is actually very experienced, like in all matchups, but in this one, I feel like in particular, for a while, he was actually specifically picking Night Elf against Orcs in tournament. That was during the big mass tier 1 meta, like when it really started. So he knows how to play that style extremely well. With Keeper Alchemist, Expansion, a lot of Huntresses, a lot of Archers. And yeah, I mean, ideally against that, you'd have a Blade Master Shadowhunter, but in this case, the Farseer, yeah, being made first by Lin. Good luck, buddy.
Yeah, and it seemed like, okay, he is going for a Barracks, I think, before Tech, so we're going to see some Headhunters, and with that fast expansion play that Infi might be going for that you pointed out, you know, the Headhunters are good at one thing, and that's canceling expansions early on. You may have to invest a Town Portal if you're Lin, but if you can find that expansion with all the piercing damage, you can pick apart those potential expansions around the map. But we'll have to see. The Farseer looks as though it's going across the map to pressure this Keeper, but it may be too little too late. The Keeper's going to get that level 1.8, but maybe Lin's Farseer can stop the level 2 Keeper of the Grove. Yeah,
Wisps can be very dangerous against Wolves as well. Really one of the big reasons why Farseer is not nearly as effective as a Blade Master. Down the line, Chain Lightning is obviously nice to have, but yeah, overall, it just doesn't feel great to have the big Wolf guy against the Night Elves. And Infi from there, like, from the moment he random Night Elf, he already, or like even before the map started, he already knew that it was very likely to be a Farseer. So he's had all this time to just kind of formulate a plan in his head on how he was going to go about facing this. And he probably doesn't have to think too much, you know, just the usual strategy that I talked about with the Huntresses, the Archers, the Expansion, and most likely the Alchemist second.
For sure. There is a couple of more options on this map, but that is the most standard, probably what we're going to see Infi do. He could, of course, just go for pure Archers. We've seen that against the Headhunter style before. You could also, on Tier 2, try to get some Lores up, a Demon Hunter second for that mana burn, and then go into some Mountain Giants later on, which happen to be very good against Headhunters. Of course, when you're against the Farseer, though, those can be countered by Taurens, because Tier 3 is very likely for Lin, although we said that last game, and we didn't see any Tier 3.
It must be sort of awkward for Infi as well, right? Because even though he plays quite a bit of random, I wonder how many times he's been in this position where he randoms Night Elf against Orc on Last Refuge and the Orc goes Farseer into Headhunters. It seems like such an unlikely scenario, but again, he can play multiple races very well, so he's going to be able to factor all that and decide from there exactly what he goes into. I wonder if there's any chance we see like something radically different because if he's facing Headhunters. Like, imagine if he was to try and like go Bears or something.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think Lores are off the table, and we haven't seen an expansion quite yet. We've just seen a lot of Archers so far, in fact. But yeah, there could be a lot of potential options. We've of course seen Infi when he's played Orc. He's got a very strong Orc as well in the past. Against Night Elf, he's done this Farseer Headhunter style, especially in the early days of that Keeper patch. So I think he's more familiar than most with Farseer Headhunters against Night Elf, but can he play the other side? I'm not too sure. Certainly, I mean, I'm sure he can. It's Infi. Oh, was that a last hit?
Yeah, Keeper level 2.5 right now. Need to try and get that level 3 as soon as possible. And you can only assume that for Lin, it has to be Shamans after this against a Keeper. Like, you just don't really have a choice. Spirit Walkers just take longer to get online. They're not nearly as good for single targets. Dispel. Obviously, it would be fine for Treants. And this, like now when you have the Alchemist, this feels like one of the big power spikes of Night Elf. In particular.
Yeah, especially on this map where we see him getting both shops already.
Pasir about to get level 2. That could be chain lightning still here on the Magi. Can Infi prevent that? He's going to look for it. Pasir getting in position. Maybe 2 more hits and a chain lightning. He's going for it, but he's going to get entangled. Can he get out after that? He has no survivability items. That might be a tempo. 1 more hit. Chain lightning. He gets the experience, grabs the 1 mana stealing, and gets out. Yes, he was forced to town portal out, but he prevented some very important experience from being gained by Infi here. That was almost best case scenario, right? Because Infi was always going to force that town portal, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And normally the Night Elf will always get both shops, get both consumables, get the experience from both of those Ogre Magi's. So that's a pretty nice play from Lin. Very heads up to get that, but the burrow is going to be canceled. The Torn Chief that comes out in the middle of all the archers, and that's a decent stomp, but is there enough follow-up damage? The Chain Lightning was already invested earlier, but there may be 1 more in the tank with that clarity popping on the Farseer. Another stomp could come in. But Infi's kiting back. The archers split away from the heroes, but maybe they split away too far. 1 more stomp, going to secure 1 more archer kill, but the rest of them are going to get out to safety, but the alchemist might not be safe.
Infi may be getting a little overconfident here with this. I mean, Keeper is like 2.9, is literally missing just a few points of experience to get level 3. And yeah, that Torrent Chieftain just came out like a wrecking ball out of that altar. You know, like in StarCraft, there's the Thor is here moment when you get your Thor. Like that was, Thorin is here. And that guy was not messing around.
Yeah, those are some crucial stomps. If not, maybe both those burrows could have gone down. And we see not even the first one went down. It wasn't even canceled, I don't think. And Infi getting an Ancient of Wonders, going to tier 3. His Huntress Hall was perhaps late. Maybe not if he's going for pure Archer, but with that Wonders coming up, are we going to maybe see some Lores? Maybe see some Mountain Giants? I think that may be the play, Archer Mountain Giant for Infi.
Yeah, Mountain Giants, extremely difficult for Orc to counter usually. Like, of course, if you know from the start of the game that they're going to be there, you can start theory crafting how you're going to counter them. We've seen some Orcs go for like a lot of grunts and Bloodlust. Usually it feels like if you're playing Standard, that would be the thing to try at times. But we're in a game with Headhunters here, which are absolutely awful against MGs. They do, it feels like they do almost nothing.
Yeah, they do pretty close to nothing.
Yeah. They almost healed the Giants. If Infi was to get there, it could be very dangerous, but such a nice scout by Lin. He saw the lores, he should know about the options of Bears or MGs, and now he might be looking to push already while expanding. This is like a repeat of last game.
It's doing the same sort of timing again. No level 3 Torn Chieftain, which we did have last game, but there's a heal scroll. There's a decent amount of mana on both these heroes for Lin, and he's going to cancel one of the lores, it looks like. Acid Bomb, nicely done on the Headhunters, but 1 lore gets canceled, and perhaps the second going to take a lot of damage, but no, the archers are on the menu for now. But Lin backs off, and why not? You got an expansion coming up. I don't think yet scouted by Infi.
I think he was considering engaging, but for some reason didn't go for it. Like, I was seeing all these archers clumped up. I was like, okay, maybe a Dreamstorm, but I think he just doesn't want to overextend. But now he's getting kind of chased down. Orb was already bought on the Keepers, so that guy's doing a ton of damage onto a lot of those units. Infi now maybe overextending, went for the chase, stomp on one of these archers.
Both players maybe overextending a little bit. Now it's Infi's turn. First Mountain Giant out, but no upgrades yet for either of those guys. And only 1 lore, of course, is going to take a while for get it online. Is this going to be just a killer timing for Lin? He gets a couple of archer kills and gets out with only losing a couple of units at the end of the day. The Torn Chieftain would still love to go creep to level 3, but there's just not a lot of camps nearby where Lin is, and that orb is doing work. So Lin's got to back off for now.
Yeah, Lin is transitioning into Grunt Shamans. So he already made Brute Strength, now he's going to Grunts. So I think he identified that Headhunters, they were not going to work out anymore. And it's just a great way to do things here and to adjust. He knows there's most likely going to be Giants.
Yeah.
And they are, like the first one is finally there. Does he go tier 3 though? He's adding a Bestiary right now. So he might just stay tier 2 for the longest time.
Kind of interesting. Normally we'll see Orc players just go for that tier 3, go for those Torns. There comes a point in the Mountain Giant numbers when they get to 4, when they get to 5 Mountain Giants, when Grunts and tier 2 really don't cut it, and you kind of do need Torrens. But it's going to be a long, long time before Infi, especially on one base, can get to that crucial number of Mountain Giants. So for now, I think this Grunt transition is a pretty nice idea from Lin.
Hilarious Flute of Accuracy gathered here by Lin. Definitely a good item when you already have a lot of ranged units. So very nice pickup. But that Torrent Chieftain looking buff with the ring, the circlet as well. Lin getting more upgrades, still armor. And I'm guessing, yeah, like he's just gonna add one Kodo.
Yeah,
Just
maybe
try
one
and play like-
Kodo, maybe a Raider, yeah.
Yeah, just try and play really solid, which is hard against this, because against MGs, it really feels like either you want to try timing before they get online, but then it's like an all-in, so it's not how solid can all-in be, you know, like if you fail, you fail.
Yeah.
Or you can try and go for the tier 3, but then it's like all bets are off. Anything could happen. Big transitions, like random fights. Okay, actually, Lin is engaging straight into this army here, close to his expansion. Invon is forced on the Alchemist. There's a Tinker third by Infi. I'm guessing he wants to drop a Pocket Factory here to help reinforce in the fight. Infi, he knew that there was going to be the Expo, so he's trying to do a push, much like the Undeads do with the quick third hero from the Tavern.
Yeah, I love that Tinker third. It is such a nice addition just to buffer those archers. We see it going down pretty quickly to the range army, but if you get it up in the back, you can do a lot of damage with that acid bomb. The downside of the Tinker is you can't get a second orb, and it looks as though, or you can't get a second range hero to carry that orb, but it looks with a couple of mercs supporting, and the Mountain Giant getting surrounded, and the staff seems to be on cooldown. Maybe that Mountain Giant's actually going to fall. Maybe the only Mountain Giant we see fall this entire tournament, Todd.
Yeah. Across all regions as well. Could it be? Trance being summoned again here. Of course, the Keeper went for Trance level 2, not Entangle level 2, so he's trying to kill a lot of them, but there's enough Purgers to get rid of everything. So much army for Lin. 62 supply against 50. And he's marching towards victory here as he's cleaning up in the center a lot of these units right now. Staff at the last second on the Tinker. Very well done, but let's see if that Alchemist can get out as well. He's closing it on the shop position. So many of those grunts still in the fight as well. Another MG being targeted down.
Oh, give me that heal scroll. Oh yeah, that's nice from Lin. And there's just so little units. And again, there's an expansion up behind this. Doesn't even matter if you don't trade efficiently. If you're Lin, you're still killing units. And Infi's back in his base. About to lose another Mountain Giant. Is staffed out, of course. Nicely done by Infi, but does he have enough? And he doesn't have the time either if he doesn't have enough. A couple of grunts may fall. The orb is putting in work as always, but there's just so much orc.
Yeah, Infi's trying to wear this army down here with some good kiting. Now that the Torn Chieftain is out of mana and the Farseer is also very close to being out of mana, he's been forced back. And now Infi, he's just gonna run straight towards that expansion. Probably try and take it out very quick, or like force a fight as soon as possible. Lin, of course, he's been mining the entire time from it, so he can grab items from the shop. He's actually not gonna run through back home to pick up clarities before re-engaging. He really doesn't want to take any economic damage here, so he's gonna get right back on top of this army. And Infi's still in this, 56 supply against 60, but he has to win this fight here to have a chance.
Absolutely, he's got to win this fight, and the Stomps are not going to be there because, again, there's not a lot of mana on this Torn Chieftain. One Archer going to fall, a couple of screen fight right now. Lightning Shield on the Torn Chieftain putting in work. A lot of units are split off, and the Taunt is kind of helping out Infi right now. The heroes at the top are putting in a lot of damage as well. The Pocket Factory, I believe, was spawned in a nice position. The Peons are trying to repair that burrow so it doesn't fall, and the Heal Spray is going to help out quite a bit. The Mountain Giants are still standing tall. But is there enough stuff for Infi? He's got to break this expansion now, or I think it'll be all over.
Yeah, if Infi really needs to get out, he has the Town Hall for a last resort scenario. He's killing a lot of the units here. He's wearing this army down. Tinker is going to get targeted down. He was in snare, so Staff was not possible, even though he was already up on the Keeper here. Wolves being summoned, there's really nothing to contest those really well. No Wisps around, no Dryads. So they're actually putting in work, but those MGs still holding strong. The Keeper with the Orb doing a ton of damage. Infi's out of mana, but so is Lin.
And the staff as well. And the first drag comes in. Those wolves have not been dealt with the entire game, but now they're going to be dealt with as soon as that Abolished Magic is online. And yeah, Infi killed so much. This is a really nice fight from Infi. He's, you know, one base against two currently, but he's trading efficiently, and the heroes are getting scarier and scarier. Almost level 4 on that Keeper of the Grove. That Tinker's going to be back in no time because it was just level 1, but he's getting lower and lower on this Keeper as well. And the Stomp, maybe this is a kill on the Keeper of the Grove, but it does go down before the Town Portal. And is that enough to secure Lin the 2-0?
Yeah, Raiders being here now means that he can chase as much as he wants. Goes straight for the Alchemist. I think it's going to go down. There's no escape available. Infi will have to tap out, and Lin with a very solid 2-0.